How did the Holy Prophet die? The Quran alluded to the possibility that the Prophet could have been a martyr in chapter 3 verse 144. Allah says, "So if he was to die or be killed, would you turn back on your heels?" Abdullah ibn Mas'ud narrated swearing by Allah that Allah made the Prophet a martyr. And Muslims are divided on this issue. Some say he died from a fever, but the majority of Muslims believe he was poisoned and was a martyr. So the poisoning of the Prophet is of two opinions. First is that a Jewish woman after the Battle of Khaybar gave the Prophet a poisoned sheep. Khaybar was in the year 7 AH and the Prophet died in the year 11 AH. There is no poison that takes 4 years to kill its victim. So this opinion is flawed. Also, the Jewish woman poisoned the Prophet as a test, and the narration says the Prophet asked why they poisoned the sheep. They replied, "We wanted to know if you were a liar, in which case we would get rid of you, and if you are a prophet, then the poison would not harm you." So if you accept that the same poison given after Khaybar did indeed kill the Prophet, then you have to admit that our Prophet was a liar and a false prophet, and no Muslim can or will admit that. So now we come to the second opinion, which is that the Prophet was poisoned, but it was a short time before his death and by people who had close access to him. There is a narration from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam that Imam Hassan alayhi salam told his family members, "I will die by poison as the Prophet Muhammad was poisoned." And we all know how Imam Hassan died. There are numerous hadith that the Prophet was forced medicine into his mouth despite him stating, "Don't put the medicine in my mouth." But certain people disobeyed him and did it anyway. Now it's on you to do the research and find out who forced medicine into the mouth of the Holy Prophet. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam stated the truth is that the Prophet was poisoned in his last days before he died at the hands of... I've intentionally stopped here. And we read in multiple narrations, at this point, those four got together and conspired to poison the Prophet. So now you go and find out who these four people are, and you will know who killed the Prophet of Islam.